Sunday, April 22nd in Vancouver. Beautiful day, sun is shining, blue skies, about 12 degrees today. We're going to go in and do our third inspection of the hive. It's going to be rather comparable to what we did last week. We want to get inside, we want to make sure the queen is doing well. We want to see that the bees are building comb, continuing to move out to other frames, and that the queen is laying eggs. And more importantly, we saw last week some larvae, and we want to see if those larvae have advanced into the next stage so that they're capped. Probably still a little bit too early that any bees are emerging yet, any new bees, but maybe we'll see that. And of course, we'll check the food supply, see if we need to provide some more of the sugar syrup, and then the pollen patty and the fondant. We're going to get started today with the south hive. We know that we saw larvae in here last time, so we know this one, at least a week ago, was in really good shape. So we'll start there. We'll get a good sense of what good looks like before we go and look in the other one. So let's begin, as usual, by taking off the cover, top cover. We're going to give a little shot of smoke. Let me get my hive tool, make sure that this isn't stuck down. That's fine. Okay, so as we mentioned last time, we're going to give the bees a little bit of a shot of smoke. Just to calm them down a tad. There we go. Give that just a minute, and then up and off comes the top cover. Now remember last time in this one they had been building some comb, some honeycomb, and we can see the same there. So doing exactly the same thing. This time we're going to turn, when we put the cover back on, we're going to turn it the other way so that it'll be flatter against the top. What we can also see here is that the pollen patty is pretty much depleted, as well as the fondant. So I went in actually midweek and added some more fondant because they're eating this quite well, and that's gone. And if I look inside the frame feeders, they're also very low, so we're going to top those up today as well. So to make some room, I'm going to take this frame away. This is the outermost frame, nothing going on it, no comb being built. You might recall last week we repositioned some of the frames a little bit. Well, I should probably take this piece of pollen patty, the little bit that's left, let's get that out of the way so that we can work on the frames around it. There we go, a few bees are happily helping themselves. Okay, so on the next frame we can see already on this side, if we take a look in here, we can see that there's some great work being done to build out new honeycomb. You see the white there, so that's great. So that's already from the frames that had the original comb on them. We're already 1, 2, 3, 4 frames out where we see some comb development. So that's really, really good to see. So let's pull that one out as well. Everything is of course a little bit stuck together, so do a bit of separation. We see some beginnings of some comb development on that side, and here's the side that we were just talking about. So that's looking really good. It's exactly what we would like to see. So leave that one there, and then we'll just make our way across. On this one, oh, no frame, no comb development on that one. That's curious. Leave it there. How about the next one? These are active. So no comb development on the outside. But here we have some really great comb development going on here on this inner side of the frame. So that's really, really nice to see. Okay, that's looking really good. Okay, now we're getting closer to the center, closer to the brood where things are really happening where we'll almost certainly find our queen, and hopefully we'll see the more eggs, more larvae, and even some open larvae and some capped larvae. So let's have a look here. Oh, this one's feeling nice and heavy. So lots going on. We see here on the outside, again, some really great comb development. It looks like they're even putting some honey into that comb. So that looks really good. And on the other side, again, lots of activity. Oh, look at all that pollen. So you see all those cells that are full of yellow, that's pollen, and that's looking really, really good. So they're out there, they're foraging, they're bringing pollen back, and they're packing it away. Up around the top of the frame, you see all the white, capped white part, that's honey. So that's capped honey. So they're preparing their food stores and doing a really great job. And this frame is completely full of honeycomb on that side. And the other side is about maybe 40-45% full. So still a lot of work, maybe more like 40. A lot of work to be done. Our queen was not on that one, so we haven't seen our queen yet. So she will eventually be putting eggs into some of those cells. So we'll move that over a bit. Okay, now we're getting closer to the center of things. These two original populated frames are rather stuck together. I'm going to give this just a very slight breaking up to make a separation, because we can see in here some of the development of the comb is connecting the frames together. It's something of a glue, if you like. Let's separate that and let's see if we can find our queen. Okay, let's get that up and out. This should be relatively heavy, and it is. So there's one side. Oh, we see lots of capped larvae. You see all those cells that are yellow in color with the nice little caps on them? Those are where eggs have been laid, where those eggs have evolved into larvae. The bees have been feeding the larvae, and now getting into the last stage, they've capped. Oh, there's our queen, right up there by my thumb. You see she has a black, larger and black colored body. So she's busy looking. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure if some bees have started to emerge. Oh, we look at there down in the lower right, about 3 inches over, no farther. You see the bee with its head inside the cell. Yeah, that one. So I don't know if he's cleaning the cell, making room for somebody else. Hard to say if some bees have been emerging already. Let's have a quick look on the other side. Very careful. Oh my gosh, look at here. Perfect. All of that capped larva. These are all bees, new bees in the making, and probably only a few days away from emerging from those cells and increasing the population of the hive. That is looking really, really good. So let's get that one back inside, not to disturb them too much, and remembering that our queen is on that frame. We want to be really careful with her. She's obviously doing everything she is meant to do. Thank you, queen. All hail the queen. Okay, I'm just going to separate this one. Let's have a look at the next frame. I expect we're going to see more of the same, but let's have a look. Let's have a look. Whoops, move that one just a touch over. There we go. Okay, up and out. Wow, 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 look at that. All that capped larvae. That is just magnificent. So inside those capped areas, the larva is pupating. Oh, some of them are open still, and you can see larvae in them. So that's getting ready. That's being fed by, do you see the uncapped ones, Carmita? Mm-hmm. So that's being, those are being fed by the bees before they cover them so that they can pupate into new bees. Absolutely, absolutely perfect. See all those larvae down there? Nice, that is really fabulous. Okay, let's have a look on the other side. And I suspect that's equally good. Oh, look at the larvae. This is just full of uncapped larvae. The bees are feeding them. probably getting ready then to cap them. So we have a fabulous bee production factory here to be seen. That's really, really good. So let's put that back inside. I'm very excited to see that. That means our hive is healthy, happy, and everything is going exactly as it should. Let's check out the next frame. So the next frame is again one of the newer frames. And oh wow, talk about a beehive of activity. Look at all the comb that they have built. The bees are busy. They're putting some honey up in the upper corners on the both sides. And you see in the lower middle where they're putting in a lot of pollen. So pollen that they've taken from the environment here all around, and they're preparing this. Eventually the queen will come over and visit this frame, and she will start to fill these cells also with eggs. And finally on the other side, an earlier state of comb development. So the comb development is still quite light out here. So still a big orientation of activity toward the center of the hive, as expected. No need to add additional capacity right now. Eventually we'll put another box on top of this box, but we'll wait until this box is pretty more populated than it is today, significantly more populated. We're waiting until about 70-75% of the frame is covered by comb, and there's some activity on that comb. And the last one, I can see not a lot going on that one. So what we want to do now is we're going to fill the frame feeder. We're going to put in some more fondant and pollen patty, and then we'll get ourselves the heck out of the way and let the bees do their thing. We finished with this hive. We've had a look. The queen is doing great. Larva development is looking really, really good. We've reversed the top cover this time so that the flatter part is on the bottom, so there's less room between the top of the frames and the top cover. More room on this side. You see the lip here, the ledge. So we put the food up here this time. So the bees are going to have to come up through this hole in the top cover in order to access the pollen patties and the fondant. And with that, the first hive is done. Inspection complete, food replenished, all looking good. Let's move to the other hive. We're going to do the same thing on this hive as before. Make sure that the top is not stuck. It's not, that's good. Give it a bit of smoke just to calm them down before we go inside. There we go. Give that just a moment. And then up and off. That's the top cover. Oh, looks like a lot of great activity. A little bit less on the inside of the top cover in terms of comb development compared to what we saw in the other hive. So let's leave that right there. Let me get my frame holder. Put that on right there. Get my hive tool. So as before, we want to check the health of the queen and the brood production, and then replenish the food supply. So let's take this pollen patty away, so it's not in our way. And we can also see, as in the other hive, that all of the fondant that I had put in just a few days ago is mostly eaten. Let's give that a bit of smoke. Just to okay. With a bit of smoker material that we're going to add just to make sure that we have enough to get us through this inspection. Let's just replenish the fuel. Okay, that should be good to get us through this next bit of the inspection. Bit of smoke across the top of the frame. So it'll be easier for us a little bit later. That will go back into the hive, but into the top part of the hive. On the top of the top covers, we put the top cover in the other way around this time. There we go. Keep those there. There's one bee that wants to just keep eating in the meantime. You're very welcome to do it. Okay, let's pop a few of these frames and see how things are doing. Start with the outside. Probably not much happening in the outer frames just yet. This fondant is probably going to fall down to the bottom. No, not quite. Okay, nothing happening on that frame so far, as we might expect. It'll be as we get a little bit closer into the center of things. Also nothing there, quite empty. Now we're getting a little bit closer to the middle, to the brood. Let's have a look. Okay, so nothing or not much, very light early days comb development on that side. But here on this side we can see some good activity. So perhaps a quarter of the frame already being built out with beeswax, with comb. So that's looking really good. Okay, now we're getting really closer to the center of things. You can see the frames are kind of attached in here, so I'll use my hive tool just to pry them apart a little bit. You see how they build the comb right across the gap between the frames. Okay, let's look at the outside first. So again, some really nice comb development, probably a quarter or so, maybe a little bit better than a quarter, 30% of the frame being built out. We don't see our queen there, full of worker bees. On the other side, some also really nice development, pretty comparable to what we saw in the other hive. A lot of pollen. So you see all those cells filled with yellow. That's where they're depositing pollen. And the same as we saw previously up in the upper top corners of this frame, you see some honey storage. So some really nice capped honey. So great food supplies that they're putting in place here. So let's put that one back inside the brood box. That's looking really good. Very careful. Okay, there we go. That's in. Now we're getting really to the heart of things, where the action is. Probably where we're going to find our queen, and hopefully we're going to see some indicator of egg laying and development of larvae. So let's see. This is the one I'm more concerned about, this colony, than the other one, because it was a bit harder to see last time. And there we go. Look at that. Full of capped cells. So really good. Oh, there we see the start of a supersedure. That's a potential queen cell. Yeah, that one right there. We don't see our queen
There it is.
on this side of the frame. Yeah, that's a potential for development of a new queen. They make those kind of cells. Nothing to be particularly alarmed about, but interesting. So do we see our queen here? I don't think so. But again, lots of capped cells. Oh, we see lots of larvae around the edge of the capped cells. You see those? Yeah, right there. Perfect. That is a great shot of larvae uncapped inside the cells. So our queen is apparently doing fine, laying lots of eggs, and these are all going to turn into to new bees in the very near future. That's looking really good, but we haven't seen our queen yet. So let's go over one more frame and see if we can find her, but glad to see that she's doing really good work. And my concern about this hive has been laid to rest happily. So our queen seems to be doing just fine. Okay, let's open that up. Okay, let's bring out the other frame that is just full of activity, and we really want to see our queen somewhere here on the other side, most likely. Lots of development here, lots of larvae. Oh, look at all that uncapped larvae. It's absolutely full of uncapped larvae with some nice honey supplies up in the corner. So the queen has been very active, although I don't see her yet. Let's have a look on the other side and see if we can see our queen in action. She's obviously active, but do we find her here somewhere? Where, oh where could our little queen be? I don't think so. I think that's a drone. So we do see some larvae here. Yeah, we see some really nice larvae and egg laying. I don't know if you can see that through there. It's a bit shiny and white. Okay, I'm going to put this one back inside, because I really want to do is find the queen, but she is evidently not on that one. So perhaps she is another frame over, laying eggs on one of the new frames. Let's have a look. You can see already there's some comb development on the side closest to me. Perhaps some egg laying. There's lots of activity here. Do we see our queen? There? By my thumb?
No.
No? Oh no. Not really sure. You don't think that's her at the top? With the black body? Doesn't look really bigger than the others, huh? Let's look on the other side, just in case she wouldn't be out here because there isn't enough development on that side. So let's have a look again. There's some good comb development on this one, and again lots of pollen which is being placed in the comb, so that's very good. So quite happy with the way this hive is doing. Okay, there's our queen. She is quite busy wandering about. Oh, she's maybe about to plant an egg, I'm not sure, into a cell, but she's in the area where there's a lot of capped larvae, quite busy. So great, we've seen her. So we've done the inspection inside the hive, put the top back on, and this time, same as the other colony, the other hive, we're going to put the food here on top. They will find that very, very quickly. So we have our pollen, nice pollen patty. Go right up there. And our fondant. A few bits and pieces that we took off the frames and relocate those here now to the top. And this nice big piece. Oh, we didn't fill up the frame feeder. So we're going to go back in, just take the top off, and just make sure we take a look at the frame feeders and top them up a bit. Frame feeders have been replenished. The little gates are back in. There's a kind of a fence, if you like, a ladder that they can climb down and get access to liquid that's inside. So that's all done. Put that over there. We can now put the top back on. There it is. Is there any smoke left in the smoker? So we've completed the inspection of the second hive. Put the top back on the roof to the house, and with that, we're done.